Back in August, a huge controversy erupted surrounding Six Flags, specifically their CEO, Selim Bassoul. It was on Twitter, Reddit, and right here on YouTube. I had thought about making a video about it then, but I decided to wait until their quarter 3 earnings came out, and it said basically the same thing as their second quarter earnings, which is when this all blew up. So what exactly is the problem with Six Flags, and what can they do to fix it? For years, the Six Flags business model has been quite different than their main competitor, Cedar Fair. Six Flags operates 15 amusement parks across the US, with one park additionally located in Mexico and another in Canada. Typically, they would focus on lower prices and try to add at least one new attraction to every single park every year. They would also try to save on operating costs, which would often result in a lower satisfaction with park experience compared to Cedar Fair, Hershend, and SeaWorld parks. Thus, Six Flags became known as the budget chain. And then along came Selim Bassoul. He replaced Mike Spanos as CEO, and Spanos never really got a chance, as he was only at the helm for 2 years before Selim replaced him, and most of that was during COVID. So he's out and Selim is in, and he wants to change the entire business model of Six Flags. Selim wants to raise prices because 1, that will make more money, obviously, and 2, this will also have the effect of decreasing attendance, which will supposedly result in a better park experience because there are less people at the park. Selim plans on combining all this with huge investments into general park improvements, which is frankly what the Six Flags parks need the most. The paint is old, they're dirty, there are ads scattered about, the parks just don't look very good. This is why I, and most people, would prefer a Cedar Fair, Hershend, or SeaWorld park over a Six Flags park. The experience at those chains is just better. The parks are clean, they look better, and paint jobs are up to date. There are more high quality food options, attractions have less downtime, employees are more friendly, ops are better. But Selim's goal is to change all that. He wants to be able to offer a premium experience as well. The problem is, of course, that Six Flags does not offer a premium experience right now, but they are charging the price of a premium experience. Selim correctly figures that Six Flags' biggest problem is the guest experience and appearance of the parks. The ride collections are not what is holding them back. So he plans on investing virtually all their capital spending into general park improvements, which is also a good plan. Basically, anyone can see that this should be a good plan if implemented correctly. However, it's his execution of this plan that has drawn the ire of coaster enthusiasts. First off, Selim fired 25% of Six Flags full-time staff. And of course, it is very unfortunate that this many talented and passionate people got laid off from their jobs. This was the last part of Selim's plan. He wants to lower operating costs with less employees. Also, multiple park presidents have apparently been fired since Selim took over, including the presidents of Great America, Great Adventure, and Over Texas. So there was a sizable outcry from the coaster community over these moves from Selim, but this was part of Selim's plan from the beginning. So let's take a look at where his plan hasn't gone the way he expected. On August 11th, Six Flags held their quarterly earnings call and released their earnings report. Analysts had been expecting earnings of around $1 per share, but they came in at only 53 cents per share. Revenue was projected at $519 million, but only came in at $435 million. Six Flags stock took a massive hit, dropping a ridiculous 18% in one day. Attendance had dropped more than Selim expected. In fact, it dropped 23%. In-park per capita spending did rise, but not by enough to offset the drop in attendance. Also, on the earnings call, he basically said that no new rides would be coming in the next 2 years, which everyone sort of assumed would happen anyway. Fiesta Texas is adding a new family coaster in 2023, but I'd consider this to be a minor addition rather than a large-scale coaster. However, he did say that they will continue to add, quote, record-breaking coasters over time. So I expect them to add maybe 1 or 2 larger additions for 2024, and perhaps back to a more conventional schedule in 2025 and beyond. So after this round of firings and miserable earnings report, there were a lot of questions about whether or not this plan could work. Clearly, it hasn't been working so far. One analyst called the earnings indefensible. In the last year, Cedar Fair stock price has roughly equaled the S&P 500. Six Flags stock price has dropped 27% compared to the S&P 500. $500, and their third quarter earnings were barely an improvement, with about the same drops in revenue and attendance. However, the third financial quarter is arguably the most important for Six Flags as it includes their peak operating season, so the quarter 3 earnings simply backed up what the second quarter earnings had been telling us. Now, to give my thoughts on the issue, I think Six Flags could have some trouble on their hands. Even though they raised prices and talked about this premium experience, they simply do not offer this premium experience right now. At Six Flags America, they closed down a whole section of the park and all the rides in it with weeks left in the operating season. There's just such a contrast between the experience at a Six Flags park and the experience at a Cedar Fair park. For example, let's take two parks that we visited this summer, Six Flags Great America and Valley Fair. Without a doubt, Great America is one of the flagship parks of the Six Flags chain, and Valley Fair is one of the lower priority parks in the Cedar Fair chain. However, I would still easily say that the atmosphere, appearance, and experience of Valley Fair was far better than Great America. Obviously, Great America's coaster collection obliterates Valley Fair's. However, Great America had trash all over, 4-minute dispatches, paint peeling, and closed at 7 p.m. because there was no one at the park. I'm not making this up. The park announced they would close at 7 p.m. that night because of thunderstorms. However, when we headed to guest services to request rain check tickets, the supervisor basically told us they actually closed early because attendance was so low that day. For the average park goer, to pay a higher price but then to have a less than stellar experience leaves a bad taste in their mouth. On the other hand, Valley Fair had a great atmosphere, up-to-date paint and infrastructure, and solid ops. A small fish in the Cedar Fair chain, yet a better park experience than a top-tier Six Flags park. So right now, Six Flags finds themselves charging high prices with an in-park experience that isn't worth a high price. Selim's strategy could be a good one for Six Flags and for guests, but he seems to have implemented the steps in this plan in the wrong order by putting the price increases before the park improvements. Selim said on their quarter 2 earnings call that the chain plans on investing $130 million into general park improvements over the next 2 years. That is a lot of money that can make a huge difference in the appearance and atmosphere in these parks. Selim may have misjudged the effect the price shock would have on attendance, but Six Flags can still rebound. It will certainly be an uphill battle, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the chain bankrupt or excelling in 5 years. Right now, however, they definitely appear to be on a path towards the former. What are your thoughts on Selim's strategy and the Six Flags problem? Do you agree or disagree with our opinion? Let us know down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.